All right, today we're in section 4.4. Today we are going to graph a linear equation. So we've already done this in 4.1, but now we're going to use slope-intercept form. So instead of using a table of values, we're going to use slope-intercept form. We're going to start off with some definitions. Y equals mx plus b. Without this formula, I have no basis for graphing and slope-intercept. Okay, so the formula is everything. Where x and y stand for the ordered pair, meaning an ordered pair that I could plug in to make it true, or that would be a solution to the equation. M still stands for the slope. Do you guys remember us talking about that it's the slope, it's the rate? Remember that frozen yogurt example where M told us how much money it was per ounce? You guys remember that? Okay. B stands for the y-intercept. What does the y-intercept mean? What does it mean? What did I say here? Where the line crosses the y-axis. So if the y-intercept is a 3, that means the line crosses the y-axis at a value of 3. Okay? All right. Do we have those terms? We have those blanks filled in? What now? In example 1, here's what we're doing. Y equals mx plus b. That's our basis. Where the order of these variables tells us which value in the equation stands for what. For example, where the m is, that means that the number in front of the x is my slope. So what we're doing in example 1 is we're saying m equals and b equals. All right, so let's start with m. What value is right here connected to x? -4. Now, because it's slope, and slope is rise over run, anytime it's a whole number, I want you to put it over 1. And you're going to see why when we start graphing these. Okay? Anytime it's a whole number, you'll put it over 1. My b value is whatever value is the last number by itself in the equation. So my b value would be -2. -2. All right, so for now, and I don't know why I put a graph on here because it's not on your notes. For now, this is all we're doing. M equals B equals. M is the number connected to X. B is the number at the end of the equation. All right, so let's do the next one. I need you to tell me, so go ahead and do it. M equals B equals. Josh, what is M?
3 over 1.
3 over 1, very good. Rise over run. Mason, what's B? -7, very good. All right, so how are we doing on this? M equals B equals? We're going to use this information in a minute to graph. Okay, now let's look at these two. These two are a little different because they are not in slope-intercept form. So I can't say M equals B equals until the equation is in slope-intercept, which, just as a reminder, is y equals mx plus b, where y is by itself, then my term with the x, then my number by itself. Okay, so what would I need to do on this first one to solve for y? This is something that is not new. Okay, solving an equation for y. You say, Miss Kinder, is this thing ever going to go away? The answer is no. Okay, so writing an equation in slope-intercept is really, really important. Connor, what would you do?
Add 5 to the other side.
Yes, add 5 to both sides. Now the 5 cancels, and I have y equals. Now, can I add these two together? No, I can't. They're not like terms. Which one do I write first? 3 over 2. X, that's important, plus 5. Now you're ready to say M equals B equals. M equals B equals. Go ahead and do that. Connor Starling. What is my M? Yes, 3 over 2. So this would be rise over run, right? I would rise 3 and run 2. What is my B, Avery? Yep, my B is 5. It's the number at the end of the equation. All right, so is this one ready to graph on my second one? Is it ready to graph? No, it's not. It's not ready to graph, so I need you to solve for y and then tell me m equals b equals. Okay, let's see. Nick, what did you do to both sides to get y by itself?
I did +1.
Very good. +1 to both sides. Okay, and now I have y equals, which term do I write first? Just tell me.
The 2/3.
Yes, negative 2/3 x plus 1, okay? So now,
It's m equals 3/2.
hold on, don't flip it. M equals negative 2 over 3,
And then b equals
1.
yeah.
The number that's at the end. How many of you got negative 2/3 and 1? Did you get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're doing pretty good on M and B. We're doing okay on that?
Yeah.
So now we're going to use M and B to graph. So the first thing I need you to do on example 2 is I need you to tell me M equals and B equals. All right? This is taking the place of the XY table. Could I have done an XY table on this?
Yeah.
My X is -1, 0, and 1, and plugged it in for X? I could have. But instead of doing the table, which is route 1, now I'm doing a different method to get to the same answer. What is my M? Can y'all just tell me?
3/1.
Negative 3 over 1. Remember, when my slope is negative, is it my rise or my run?
Rise.
It's my rise. It's never my run. Okay? Negative 3 over 1. And what is my B? 3. Can anybody remind me, raise your hand, what does B stand for? What did we say at the beginning of the lesson? Raise your hand, Michael.
Y-intercept.
It's the y-intercept, which means that this line will cross at a y value of 3. Whatever that number is, you're going to go over to the y-axis and plot the point on that value. It said b equals 3, so I know that the line will cross at a y value of 3. Okay, does everybody understand how I got that point? Now, that point is my starting point, and now I'm going to follow my slope. Remember, -3 stood for the rise or the run?
Rise.
The rise. So from that point, I'm going to rise up or down 3?
Down.
Down, because it's negative. 1, 2, 3. And what's my run?
1.
My run is 1. So you see, if I had not put my whole number over 1, I might have forgotten that I was supposed to run 1. That's why I want to put a whole number over 1. Okay? Now I remember I'm supposed to run 1. So my point goes here, and I can draw my line now through these 2 points.
Wait, what? You redo that?
I have one more step. Now that my line is graphed, I need to identify the x-intercept. What is the ordered pair where the line crosses the x-axis? Okay, so I look over here to my graph. Do you see here? Now, it's not always going to cross where I plotted a point. Okay, it just so happens that that happens right here. Sometimes I'll plot my points and I have to draw my line and keep drawing it with a ruler. Okay, if it's all squiggly, you're going to say the wrong number. Okay, but I can see that the line crosses the x-axis. All right, so I'd say x-intercept is 1, 0. X-intercept is 1, 0. Over 1 up 0 is where that line crossed the x-axis. Okay, so you're going to have to do this on your homework, okay? On one of your homework problems, you're going to have to graph it and identify the x-intercept. All right, so now let's do this one. My first question to you is this graph, or I'm sorry, is this equation ready to graph?
No.
No, so get it ready, then tell me m equals b equals. If you think you know where the points go on the graph, go ahead and do that too. So we're going to pause on this for a couple minutes while we work through it. Okay, so I needed to add 2 to both sides, which you guys did a great job with. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. So m equals what? Negative 2/3, and b equals 2. All right, so where does my first point go? Y'all just tell me. It goes on a 2. And then from there, from that point, not from the origin, but from that point, do I go up or down? Down how many? 2. Okay, and then how many do I run? 3. Here's what I need you to remember. Just because 2/3 was negative, that's only the rise. That doesn't mean the rise is negative and the run is negative. We will never go backwards, okay? If it's negative, that means I go down, and then I run, and then I plot my points and draw my line.
Is it 3-0 or 0-3?
That's a good question. Remember, an ordered pair goes x, then y, okay? So I will ask you, yes, because the x-intercept is on an x value of 3, I plug in 3 where x goes in the ordered pair and 0 for y because there's no, I didn't go up or down. My x-intercept is 3, 0. Okay?
Wait,
My
so
x-intercept.
3-0, that would be right?
You could put 3, 0. That would be fine. Like on a test, if I say, what's the x-intercept, and you write an ordered pair and box it in, I know that you meant that's the x-intercept. Okay? So we've done our graphs. Now we need to talk about parallel lines. Parallel lines have the same slope. I want you to write that next to this example. They have the same exact slope. So all I need to do to determine if 2 equations are parallel is I need to identify if their slope value is the exact same value. Remember, I got to be rise and run the same distance, otherwise my lines will cross at some point. They have to have the exact same slope. So here's what you would say, okay, in order, you can't just say yes or no. If all you say is yes or no, it's simply a guess. You have to have some proof or an explanation. So if it says explain your reasoning, this is how you're going to do it. What is the slope on the first equation, the top one? What's my slope? Negative 3. And what's my slope on the second one? Negative 3. So you will say m equals negative 3 on both lines. Yes. You're recognizing that the slope is the same on both lines, and for that reason, that's your explain, the answer is yes. Okay? M equals negative 3 on both lines, yes. Okay, so on the second one, tell me my slope value. Someone raise your hand. Deasia. M equals 2 and negative 2. Are those the exact same value? So you would say no. That's all you have to say. Okay, so when it's no, you just tell me. Again, this is your explain. You're saying, I can see that the slopes are different. These are my slope values. That's what I said by listing them. So my answer is no. Okay, for parallel. Any questions? All right, so now let's look at this one. All right, so our first tendency might be to say, oh, well, my slope is negative 6 here and my slope is negative 3 here, so the answer is no. And guess what? The answer might be no. But if you don't have any work here, what work am I talking about? What work would you have to show here to actually be able to answer? Micah? You have to have both equations in slope-intercept. This first equation is not in slope-intercept. And remember what I said at the beginning. You can't say this is my slope, this is m and b, until your equation is in slope-intercept. So you actually don't know what the slope is on the first one until you solve for y. It's not -6. And I think Micah said it. Can anybody else tell me what would I do to the first equation? Divide by what? 3. The entire equation. 3, 3, 3. So y equals -2x plus 3. Now that it's in slope-intercept, I can answer the question. Go ahead and answer it on your paper, please. Okay, Cam, what did you say, buddy?
For m?
Yep, m equals what?
M equals -2/1.
And what's the other m?
M.
What's the m on the other equation?
-3.
-3. So is your answer yes or no?
No.
Your answer is no. Okay? So he said, these are my two slopes, so it's no.
So you couldn't, if they were the same number of each, there was still no.
So, no. If, let's say this had been a 2y, and you divided everything by 2, then they would have been parallel, because your slope would have been -3 on both. So you would say m equals -3 on both lines, and then your answer would have been yes. So if you solve for y and you see both slopes are the same, your answer is yes. All right. The last slide. Okay, I'm going to skip the reviewing slope. The last slide, I want you, okay, so this is number, let's number these. This will be the easiest way. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I want you to tell me out of these 5 equations, which ones are parallel to each other. So you might say 1 and 3 or 2 and 4 or whatever. Okay, so whatever you think, I want you to just tell me which equations are parallel to each other. And there could be more than one pair of parallel equations. Okay, you can circle them, yeah, but if you just circle everything and there's no way to tell. Mason, can you give me one pair of parallel equations?
Number 1 and number 4?
Yes, 1 and 4. Do you see that they both have a slope of 3? Did y'all say 1 and 4? Okay, so now, do we have any other pairs? Do we have any others, Allie? 2 and 5. Because we saw that 2 and 5 both had slopes of what, guys? 1/3. All right. So we can pick that out, all right, pretty easily. That's going to be it for section 4.4.